this Josh?
Yes, it is.
It's Jack Russell. Josh, how are you?
I'm doing great. How are you doing?
Good. Sorry I'm a little late. Some of these interviews have gone over a little bit, and as it trickles down, it gets worse and worse, you know?
Oh, absolutely no problem. I have all day, but I know you have a busy schedule, so I know we'll keep this a little bit more on track, but thank you for taking the time to do this interview. We're here to talk about the brand new Jack Russell's Great White debut album, He Saw It Comin, which is coming out on the 27th through Frontiers Music. How did this debut album come to be?
Well, I put this band together about 5 years ago, and the only original member of this band, besides myself, would be my guitarist, Robbie Lochner. We went through a lot of different musicians until I felt that the band was as good as it could be, and everybody was, clicking, and then there was no weirdness, there was no drug weirdness, there was no alcohol weirdness, there was no somebody doesn't like this guy, or, and that took a while, we just finally got the permanent basis, I don't know, not even a year ago, I think. And, so when we got him, I said, well, okay, now it's time to do a record. I had the band I want to do a record with. So we started working on it, and Robbie and I started writing, just like, crazy writing, just, as much as we could, between touring and everything else. And, it took a little bit of time because of those factors. And sometimes, would be like, we wanted to write, but the inspiration wasn't there, and I didn't want to come down and spend a day working on something that I'm just going to throw away anyway, So we didn't, every song we wrote, we kept. We didn't have any, songs that we worked on and went, oh, it's not good, and thrown it away. And I'm very proud and that, the writing for me was of such that we were able to do that, because, in my past memory, there was always songs that, that when it came down to it, just didn't make the cut, So I'm really happy with this record.
Yeah, and I gotta say, as a fan of Great White and now of Jack Russell's Great White, I really love what you're doing with this album. I noticed with the first half, it does have that patented Great White sound, but when it gets about midway through the end of the album, it does start to experiment a lot more, which I really appreciate.
Thank you. Yeah, we kind of elevated things. I mean, I didn't want to write the same old record again, but yet no matter what, it's going to sound like Great White because of my voice, but I didn't want to take and all of a sudden be like I'm not going to go grunge or whatever they're listening to now. I mean, I got to write for myself first and foremost, but for fans of this genre of music, and hopefully this record is eclectic enough that we can, add a lot more fans that wouldn't normally think of this band being something that they would like, So it was really hard fought. I mean, we really took our time and really, we just a lot of experimenting, with especially like the title track, for example. There's so many changes and so many different parts. It reminds me of a Queen song, and like the last song, Godspeed. Now that was, something that even when the idea was mentioned, was kind of like, I don't know about that. Probably not on this record, And but I trust my guitarist enough and his vision. Is close enough to mine. So I said, okay, you know what? Go ahead and so we wrote the song. And then I said, okay, do what you can do with it. Let me hear it. And when he came back with the finished version, I got him. I was laughing from the first word on there so hard through the whole song because it was just so amazing. All the interwoven parts and the structure. It was just, you realize the talent it must have took to put that together. Having nothing to do with me except for the melodies and the lyrics on the song. But what he and the band did with the as far as the musical parts, like the bassist singing baritone, and my other guitar player Tony singing the higher parts, and Dickie Pleasar, the drummer, singing the higher parts. It was just amazing. I mean, I don't know what you think of the song, but for me, it was one of those gems that you rarely come up with.
Yeah, I was gonna bring it up as well. The title track is one of the most standout songs for all the reasons that you listed, from that great hilarious intro and then all the intricate parts that go throughout the entire song. I think it's definitely something that stands out.
Yeah, I mean, do you know what that intro is? Do you know what it is?
I was trying to pinpoint it. I'm actually not sure.
Okay, well, here's the story. 10 years ago, Robbie at his house recorded his son and his son's friend, and the idea was these two kids were in the kids' room, and they were waiting for the older brother to leave so they could sneak in and play his guitar and drums. So the brother leaves, and one kid goes, "He's gone. Let's go." They run down to the room. They open the door, and instead of being his room, there's this huge stage with thousands of people in front of it, and they freak out and slam the door shut. And they're like, "Oh my God, oh my God." You know, you hear all this crazy guitar, and then the one kid goes, "Want to go back in?" And the other kid goes, "No." He goes, "Come on, you wimp." "Okay, you wimp, let's go." And they finally make up their minds, and they open the door again, and it's still the same thing. There's this huge crowd and a stage, and they just walked in and shut the door, and then the song starts. So the idea being, when they were kids, they were dreaming of this, and all of a sudden they realized they've been propelled into their future, you know. And the song starts out where I'm at right now in my life. You know what I mean? Where people are going, "You say you say my time is over. You look at me and shake your head. You say I've had my day, and you can't believe that I'm not dead. I've fallen down 1,000 times I've risen. You watch me agonize and bend and deliver." And that's the basis of the song, you know. And the cover art reflects that. And you've got the two kids who are me and Robbie depicted as young kids, and then the pirate medium, or whatever you want to call it, is showing these kids their future. You know, if you look on in the crystal ball, there's thousands of people and these two guys on stage, which, you know, is Robbie and I, and it's just, man, it's about manifest destiny, and it's about, you know, visualization and making things happen with, you know, the power of your own mind. You know, I've always believed that. You know, I've known I was going to be a rock star since I was 6 years old. I mean, I knew it because I was given the information by, I don't know, God, the universe, something, you know, and told me that was what my life was going to be. And, you know, I've had experiences that should have taken me out of the race completely when I was younger. But all these weird things happened, and, you know, that problem I had just disappeared. So, you know, it's just amazing. And what's really weird, too, is he wrote that skit 10 years ago, and it fits perfectly for that song. And that was weird, you know. I remember we were almost finished with it. He goes, "Hey, I got an idea." I go, "What?" It was like, "I got this skit I did. I can't really remember, but I think it might fit." And when he played it for me, I was like, "Dude, that is so weird that you did this 10 years ago, and it's totally worked for this song." So that's what it's about.
Yeah, and it totally fits for the new incarnation of the recording sense for Jack Russell's Great White as well, because it's like going from the past into the future of where you are now.
Yeah, sure, absolutely. You're absolutely right. You know, it's, I don't know, there's just a lot of, I'll tell you what, I haven't felt like this about a record since before Twice Shy was released. I just got this really strange, can't explain feeling. You know what I mean? It's a good feeling, but I can't really explain it. You know, I don't want to tempt fate, you know, by saying anything, but, you know, I have, you know, high hopes for this album, regardless of how the industry is, you know.
Oh, definitely. And there are so many bands that did have their heydays back in the early through the late 80s, and they're still putting out music, and sometimes it's not of the best quality. Sometimes they're writing the best stuff they've ever made now. And I can definitely say with this album that you have definitely not slowed down, and I feel that rejuvenation that's going on, and it sounds very inspired, and it's just amazing stuff.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that, especially coming from a person that, you know, his life is about music. You know, it's not like you just junkie public, listen to a record every once in a while. You know, I can't even imagine the amount of music you must go through, you know.
Oh, yeah. In 2017 alone, just 10 days into it, I'm already about 20, 30 albums into 2017 music alone. And it's always great when I get to go back and listen to musicians that I cared about so much before I really got into the music business, like yourself, and being able to really appreciate what you're doing now and having an opportunity like this to be able to promote you in a way that I can.
I appreciate that very much, man. You know, because this is going to be for us, you know, more like a guerrilla warfare thing. We're not relying on anybody, you know. We know the label's only going to do so much, and that's just the way it is, you know. But we're going to be investing our own into it. You know what I mean? I would like to do a video for every single song, and, you know, I want to pump this at radio, calling all the favors I can from people I've met over the years, and just really, really, really work it. And it's going to take that to get it to a place that makes it possible for it to get even bigger. I think the record, if things were different and it was a different era, would have just exploded, and it's more or less nowadays like a slow fuse instead of an explosion right away, but I've got nothing but time and energy and focus to put into this, and the rest of the band feels the same. So, I got the next video already lined up, and my friend's going to do it for the huge cost of nothing. So, and it's nice to know that all the people I've met and, remembered, and, I'm a nice guy, and I mean that with all humility, and I try to treat people, the golden rule, like I like to be treated. And, a lot of times people will remember me and then go, oh, I remember you, you're a nice guy, we had a really good interview, and blah, 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 blah. Yeah, sure, I'll help you out, So I haven't hurt my career by being a jerk to people,
Oh, and that's the way it should be, too. I mean, no matter how small or how big you are at whatever you do in life, when you have that mentality of treating everyone the way that you want to be treated, that is much more successful and way more appreciative that way when you are able to be yourself rather than going out and being this jerk that maybe will get huge but then die off just because of their negative mentality.
Sure, absolutely. I mean, what's the old saying, be careful who you screw on the way up, because you're going to see them on the way down, Well, I mean, and it's true. I've seen it happen in a lot of people's careers, they were just total rock stars, and they believed in the old, well, if you're a rock star, you got to be a jerk, you got to treat people like they're below you. I never subscribed to that philosophy. I think people would rather be treated with kindness, and as they should be, I mean, I have respect for everyone unless they give me a reason not to,
Yeah, and that's exactly how I approach my interviews as well, because I'm not about clickbait and smear campaigns. I'm about having like a really good conversation and talking about positive new things, like a new album or a new tour or whatever positive is going on in life. While I could be getting more clicks by trying to, like really dig deep into all of these clickbait articles and just trying to start a lot of drama, I don't want to do that. I want to have a good positive experience, because I always find that to be a much more rewarding interview.
Sure. Absolutely. And karmically, if you believe in such a thing, it is a good thing as well,
Oh, absolutely. So getting back into the band, is there anything planned for 2017 as far as live shows yet?
Yeah, we've got a few on the books. Obviously, there's going to be many, many more. My agent's, he's hard at it, and it's going, it's just, he's the kind of guy that, comes through at the last minute. It's like all of a sudden there'll be a few shows, and next thing you know, months are full, so I have every confidence in him that it's going to be a really good year, and with the new record coming out, it's going to be exciting, a lot of fun. I'm looking forward to playing some of the new stuff live,
Oh, definitely. And I definitely wanted to mention this as well. One of my favorite shows from a couple years back is when I bought tickets for my girlfriend and myself in St. Croix Casino in Turtle Lake, Wisconsin, when you did a special acoustic show there. Even though it was a small, intimate show, it was still one of my favorite shows that I saw that year. Just the overall awesome experience that you brought when it's just, strip it down into an acoustic setting like that.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. We really enjoy doing those. We're actually we're getting some songs worked up so we can add more to it and change it around so it's not the same show. And also with the band set, we're working on different things and obviously putting new songs from the new album in it. Not too many. We don't want to go out there like some bands. Okay, this is the 7th song we're going to play for you tonight from the new album. They want to hear, the classics, and, we're going to give them that. But, there'll be a couple songs from the new record. You never want to inundate people with something that's new because, that's not why they came there.
Yeah, and for a lot of people who may not be keeping up on new music, they may not even realize that there is a new album yet, and they're getting bombarded with all this new music. But it's always good to have a couple new tracks live. That way it inspires them to go and check out the new album and see what you're up to these days.
Absolutely. That's my theory as well, and I believe that's true. So that's the way we play it,
So When it comes to that, with this incarnation of Jack Russell's Great White, obviously you do got to play the classic Great White songs, but how far deep do you go into the Great White catalog live?
We go back to the first album. Out of the Night is a song that we play off it, which was the first song that ever went to radio from this band, and it was actually the first song ever that was played on a major radio station in regular rotation on an independent label. That had never happened. Of course, radio stations that played a song once or twice or something like that, but it was never actually added onto the playlist they were on an independent label. It was only signed major label acts that got that kind of treatment. So that was really cool, and that was the first song that went out, and that song ended up getting us a record deal, because every label in town wanted to sign the band because we had sold 20,000 copies of our EP, our 4-song EP in Los Angeles, and for an independent band, with independent distribution, that was a heck of a feat back in those days, It'd be a heck of a feat right now. You think about it, think about 20,000 records putting you on the Billboard charts, like that would ever happen before, I can't believe it. When I knew things were bad was when I heard, that, what's his name? Oh God, come on. The guy that does all those cover songs and changes the words.
Weird Al?
Weird Al, yeah, when he debuted at #1 on Billboard. There's only been one other comedy album that actually went to #1, but never before had there been a comedy album that debuted at #1. So I thought, wow, things really are worse than I thought, So,
Yeah.
but hopefully we make a record that can, kind of help turn things around a bit, because I think the world is aching for, some good rock and roll, feel good music.
Absolutely, and I think that's absolutely what He Saw It Coming is all about, and it does have that great positive feel behind it, lots of variation and experimentation, but keeping that Great White sound there with your amazing voice in 2016 into 2017 now, and I think once people get to check out this interview, check out the singles that are out there, and eventually buy the album when it comes out on the 27th through Frontiers, I think they're really going to enjoy some great rock and roll that you put out.
Thank you very much. I think so. This is a record that I'm most proud of, and I've done some solo albums that I just absolutely love, but this record here is something very, very special to me. I think it's a special record, and it's very eclectic, and yet it's very cohesive, and it's an album experience. It's not just, one song, another song, another song. There's a flow to it, and if you listen to the record from front to finish, you really have an experience, especially with headphones. It's got a lot of little headphone things in it, and it's, I can't say enough about it, and I'm still humble. I know where my talent comes from, and it's not from me. People always say, "What a great voice you have." And I always tell them it's on loan. It's not mine. It's on. So I was just a lucky guy that God chose to use this voice, and all I had to do was believe and just put every bit of energy and focus I had into making that happen. So. We really worked hard on this album, and, fortunately my guitar player is a really, not only a great guitarist, an amazing guitarist, and a really good songwriter. So together, we came up with a collection of tunes that I think are pretty spectacular,
Yeah, I definitely agree. And again, when people finally get the chance to check this out, I think they'll definitely see where everything is right now with you and Jack Russell's Great White. And I think people are going to be overall very well receiving of the album, and especially when you guys get to go out and promote the new album.
Yeah, I hope you're right. Like I said, I don't want to tempt fate, but, I think the songs, once we'll have the video's going to come out for the first song, Sign of the Times, and then I'm going back and soon I'm doing one for She Moves Me, and that's going to be fun. And then, I think, the next single will be the next single, and we'll have a video for that. And like I said, I like to do videos for every song, if that's possible. We're trying to just do as much on our own as we can, because we're not just going to okay, well, we're done working a single, It's like, no, I'm not done, We're just going to plug it until we think it's been put out there enough, and then we're going on to the next one,
Yeah,
I think too many bands rely on a record company, and then they get dismayed when, you know, things didn't go farther than they did. It's like, well, man, you got to, you know, it's your record. You know, it's your responsibility to put in as much effort on your own behalf, you know, as it is the labels, you know. And, I mean, who can promote you more than you? You know, I mean, who knows more about the music than you do? You know? So that's at least that's my philosophy, you know. And hopefully that will turn into a reality.
Yeah, and I was just going to bring that up before you mention it as well, about it is the band's responsibility to go out there and promote it as much as they can, because a label is a great platform to be able to get your name out there, but if you're also not putting in as much work, if not more work than the label, then it's not going to go anywhere.
Right, exactly, especially in these days. I mean, this isn't the 80s where, you know, everything was taken care of for you, and you know, this is like guerrilla warfare, you know? You got to get down and dirty, you know what I mean? You got to put your overalls on, you know, down there with the rats, you know?
Oh, exactly.
Not the band, I mean, you know, I mean, actual rats.
Oh, yes. Very good pun, though, if you look at it that way.
Yeah.